So it was on to another flat, the tenants of which were slightly more subdued. They told us they'd had trouble getting help from their landlord.
When we had mice, we told our landlord, and she was like, "That's not really my problem." And so we had to buy like rat bait and gorilla filler ourselves.
So for a start, it's like 0 degrees Celsius. It's called a fridge. So
we've had like the power, like this. None of these lights work.
Nothing. See, switch, switch, switch. Nothing. No power works.
And the thing is, we've paid for the bulbs ourselves to be replaced, and they don't work. So
Nothing
kind
works.
of bad light. Like,
Did you call the landlord about that?
Yeah.
There's light bulbs in here. See? Don't work. Don't work.
The lounge doesn't have any light.
No.
Slightly. The smoke alarms when we burn toast, they don't go off.
Nothing goes on.
The first thing that students, tenants should do before signing a tenancy up is to have a proper inspection with the landlord. And if you have issues where windows aren't opening or there's holes in walls at the time of the inspection, you get that in writing. And you get the landlord to fix it prior to you moving into the flat.
She said that it had been recarpeted and professionally cleaned when we got it, but not so sure about that.
The most important thing I believe is that communication between tenant and landlord. You've got any issues, you get on the phone straight away to the landlord.
Knowing what you know about the house now, would you have moved in?
Probably not because it's so cold.
It is ridiculous. Like in here,
it's called the fridge.
But it's just the idea, like our climate down south, it is kind of important that there are some kind of improvements made on housing quality, and if it's not your own property, you're not in a position to upgrade it yourself.
Have you guys got sick this year because of that?
Everyone's. I've had the flu
so
vaccine, but everyone's got
Did you
so
get that
sick.
last year in the home?
No, I don't think I was sick last year, and this year, like I've been sick the whole year.
Yeah, it's definitely.
It's so bad.
You can't study because all you're thinking about is trying to warm up.
And we all sit here and watch TV, and you can like see the smoke come out your mouth.
Do you guys actually know what the law is regarding condition of
it
properties?
was.
The landlord has to provide the premises in a reasonable state of cleanliness. So when you moved in, was that?
Oh, the fridge was so gross. All this was like there was just black like all over the walls, and so we cleaned it ourselves.
If you come to Castle Street, you expect to live in shit.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Do you think that's a rite of passage? Do you think that people
Yeah,
think
you kind of first year flatting's kind of like scarfy, like.
So
shit.
for instance, this flat's going to $120 a year, which is like most of your
and
student
people
loan.
definitely come in, right?
Yeah, you get
And you
$150
have
and
to.
it's shit.
It's absolute crap. But like, you expect to live in crap.
When we first came, there was rat poo all through all our showers.
Oh, we had 2 mice. One lived there.
Yeah, one lived behind
three,
our
sorry. One
cupboard.
lived, and one lived behind the fridge.
And it just the bathrooms had this pink mold shit growing everywhere. And she was like, "Yeah, it's been professionally cleaned before you get here." And the carpet was full of shit. We used to have mice crawling up through the sink.
Yeah.
And we put gorilla filler here because they'd come through like here. There's no locks on the windows.
This is a lock here.
Without proper locks on the windows, this was clearly inadequate under the Tenancy Amendment Act of 1986. But whose fault was it? And what about the rat droppings? Was this one landlord who wasn't pulling their weight? I put this question to Gareth Harper from Cutler's Real Estate, the largest property management company in North Dunedin.
When you first move into a flat, it should really be in a really good livable standard, and it should all be clean and tidy.
The question of whether landlords should be doing more for students, I think, is a fair one. You give students really, really good levels of accommodation, and by and large they'll look after it. But the closer you get to campus, the more people, I think, trade off the quality of the accommodation for the proximity.
The oven door doesn't actually shut properly. We've done a wee repair job ourselves at the moment. We usually just get the broom and jam it in there.
Hey, how are you, man? Good.
Tenants are completely subject to the provision of the housing that's available to them. I don't know how tenants could be held responsible for the poor housing that they rent.
They might exacerbate the problem.
Well, by causing damage and things to the home. Oh, well, of course. And anybody who goes into the rental housing market in order to make money, which is why people do it, have to accept that there could well be damage as a result and build that into the costs of being part of that market.
I had some guys down in Harbour Terrace who went from the hallway through to the bedroom probably about 3 times over the space of a couple of months, like right through the wall.
Oh, right, kicked it through.
Punched, well, I'd say they put whole bodies through it.
Tenants can always behave better in lots of cases.
We put decorations up. There is a chair and a tree, my friend.
But at the same time, there is a responsibility on landlords to make sure that their homes are good quality homes, that they're not creating slums.
Boom. You know, look at this. This is terrible.
That is terrible.
I mean, who in their right mind would want to live there? Unless there is a severe shortage of housing in the campus, why on earth would you want to? And this is an area where, you know, the association and the tenancy tribunal or whatever have got to start taking landlords to task. Then you've got this stuff. Now this is post-2000, isn't it? And this is fantastic accommodation. You're going to get people paying $110 a room, and they'll probably have heat pumps and they'll have double glazing. But, you know, I mean, that's just a completely different experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've had rather poor experiences with landlords working for realty companies because they seem to often have too many properties to be able to manage them effectively, and it seems as though they're just coping with the amount of properties they have rather than managing them effectively.
Well, look, the issue with property companies, for them to be successful, they have to have a huge amount of properties, and we're talking, you know, I'd say between 100 and 400 properties to make their company viable and make a good profit.
How many properties do you manage?
About 130.
Surely, out of all those people, sometimes it's quite hard to
that's right.
manage them all.
Yeah, well, it's usually only the ones that sort of take all my time up is about maybe 5% of them.
As you can see, this window here, it's completely bust. I was actually told when we first moved in not to use it. This whole area down here was just covered in rubbish. Obviously the previous tenants just, you know, every time they had a piece of rubbish they'd just probably come out here and chuck it off.
How much do you pay?
$85 a week.
Do you think that's good value for money?
For this place, I think it is. Relative to other student flats, I think it is, because, you know, it's a decent location, it's got a nice view. Despite the few difficulties we've had, it's a good deal.